And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review, and this is TK421 from Rogue's Empire. Now, he's a Dolphin. He's been playing for about a year, and he's wanting to know a little bit about, is he ready? The readiness for, the raids, such as the, heroic Sith raid. And he kind of wants to know just a little bit about, his ships and arena, if things, if there's any tweaks he can make and things like that. So we're just going to kind of do an overview, go over ships, go over arena, and kind of talk about his readiness for the raids. So the first thing we're going to go over is his ships, and he's using Tarkin, which is really good. But I did notice a couple of chinks in his armor, which is why he's probably at 129. He's using the Imperial TIE Fighter, and that's great. Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer, and that's great as well. Great ship, does a lot of damage. Doesn't target lock, though. But you've got three attackers. Three attackers, no tanks. What happens is anybody can walk over to your team and just destroy your team. You probably only get one reinforcement in, and everybody who wants to beat you can, unless they just have literal superficial ships. But if they're even close ship-wise, all they need is bigs in their lineup and a target locker, and they're going to destroy you because their bigs is going to keep them in the battle. So we're going to look at your ships, and the one thing I noticed is that your bigs is way down here, 4-star. He's only at gear 8. And the abilities aren't really that high. And I'm guessing if you use this ship, what happens is it dies real quick, and you're like, I don't really see the value. But it's because it's underdeveloped, and you need to develop this ship. It's not an option. If you really want to compete in ships like you said you do, you really have to have this ship as an option. It is the absolute unequivocal #1 best tank in the game, but you have to take time to develop both the character, which is the crew member, and the ship itself. Now, you don't have to do any of the reinforcements because I rarely see anyone using this as a reinforcement. But you definitely want to max out his basic, because it does more damage, and you want to max out this Academy Maneuver. Once maxed out, does like 50,000 damage and calls an assist. If that assist is around 50,000 damage, this one ability, which happens every 3 turns, is like 100,000 hit on a tank. So you got to keep that in mind. But this tank will definitely keep you around the game long enough. And when people are walking through arena and they see your lineup, they're just going to probably target you intentionally. Now, you don't have a ton of focus on ships. You're still relatively new. Like I said, you've only been playing for a year. So a lot of your ships are underdeveloped, and that is okay. But like I said, you definitely want to make bigs one of the hyper focuses for you. As far as the back lineup, I would actually put TIE Advanced in the backup, but you're going to need to max out the Unnerving Presence. This is really cool. It's going to end up inflicting 3 DOTs, 3 damage over times, and put offense down on the opponent. And you get to bring a reinforcement in right away pretty quickly. I mean, like literally within the first turn of your capital ship, you could bring in a reinforcement. So really a pretty awesome reinforcement. One of the best reinforcements in the game. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but neutering the other team's offensive capability is huge. And then also putting all that damage over time, it's like hitting them a lot while you're not actually having to hit them. So it just drags their protection down, and if their protection's off, their health down. So just a really good reinforcement. Plus, by the time he comes in, you're more than likely going to be doing the offense up maneuver, which will put offense up on him almost immediately after he comes in from your capital ship, and he hits for like 100,000 with offense up on his basic. This is nuts. You could really one-shot somebody. And so if you leave him in your first 3, he's probably going to be targeted right away and killed, because the Imperial TIE Fighter is hard to hit. And so they're going to go after like TIE Advanced and Kylo. So you're going to lose him before he ever gets the chance to have that offense up and have that super powerful hit. So I would have him in your first lineup in the reinforcements. And then your TIE Reaper is looking pretty good. You're developing it, but keep developing the TIE Reaper. This is a really great ship. I know a lot of people say, again, that it's fallen out of favor, but that's not true. As long as you max this ship out, it's still absolutely amazing, especially for your lineup. And I also noticed that you have Slave 1. You're kind of developing Boba Fett and this ship. This is a great just plug and play reinforcement ship for ships. So definitely I would continue to develop this ship. The one ship that I see that you kind of don't really have developed a ton, but is really the best reinforcement ship in the game. And truth be told, you have a Zeta on your Ezra. You've got your characters at like gear 9 or above. This is really a great ship for you, and I'm hoping that you're using it. However, it should be your first reinforcement or second. Now, if you put it in the first, it'll bring TIE Advanced out immediately afterwards. But if you want TIE Advanced to come in when the offense up is more than likely going to be played by the RNG of your defensive team, then put TIE Advanced in first and then Phantom 2. And so what happens is if you're starting to lose the battle, she'll come in and then she'll bring in Slave 1 or TIE Reaper and change the course of battle because of the two ships coming in back to back. So get this reinforcement covert strike maxed out immediately. That first. Always get the reinforcement. If it's a reinforcement, get the reinforcement maxed first. Then the first ability on here you absolutely want to max out is Maximum Impact. If you max this out, it does about 75 to 80,000. That's a really great damage to come in out of reinforcements and smash somebody and then allow for another ship to come in immediately thereafter. So I would highly recommend you really seriously consider developing the Phantom 2. So Phantom 2 and Biggs, but you have to develop Biggs. That's just truly, if you want to be competitive, you're going to have to do. Now, looking at your arena team, I noticed you're 250, and you actually have some good Zetas. I mean, you've got CLS and R2-D2 and Han Solo. That's a great counter Rebel squad. But then I noticed in the back you have Emperor Palpatine and Savage, who's going to be the cleanser. And I know that Savage is great to kind of keep Emperor Palpatine around because he helps cleanse Emperor Palpatine. But personally, I would highly recommend going with Thrawn and General Kenobi on defense. You have both of those characters. And General Kenobi's gear 10, I would keep going with him. And you have Grand Admiral Thrawn almost gear 11. So get these last 4 pieces of gear on Thrawn and Kenobi. And they are way more synergistic in this particular team. Kenobi keeps everybody more durable and around longer. And when they get hit, they won't take as much damage and then they counter and hurt. So it's going to help you. And Grand Admiral Thrawn gives you control both offensively and defensively. The AI plays Thrawn really well. And then if you want more damage on your climb, instead of General Kenobi, you could put in Ezra Bridger. Ezra calls an assist, so he could be calling in Han Solo or Commander Luke. The reason why you do Han Solo is for DPS, but if you called Commander Luke to assist, if he happened to already put some debuffs down, he could get a stun out of it, which is pretty cool, and he does decent damage. But yeah, so for offense, I would be doing Commander Luke, R2, Han Solo, Thrawn, and Bridger. And then for defense, I'd leave in General Kenobi instead of Bridger because it's just more defensibility. And when people see that team, they're going to think twice. But when they see Savage and Emperor Palpatine and no tank, I think it really creates a target on your back because there's no tank. They can just target whoever they want. Now, I know R2-D2 is going to spin and do a false taunt, but that only lasts for a short period of time. And the truth is it very well might target Commander Luke Skywalker if your modding's not there. And next thing you know, they're killing your Commander Luke right off the bat. So really, critical hit immunity is huge. Getting the taunt up is huge. Getting the control from Thrawn is huge. It provides the time you need for Han Solo and Commander Luke to just tear the opponents up. So that's what I would do with Arena. Now, the biggest thing about this entire video you wanted to know about the readiness of the raids, and you said all the raids. And so for Rancor, you're ready, man. You've got Commander Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, and so between these two guys, you can totally and completely solo the Rancor, and I'm sure you do. As far as the heroic AAT, you have a team that can basically solo the whole thing, except you're missing one piece. So you have Darth Vader, and you even have him Zeta'd on his leadership, so he would be the leader. And you have CLS, and of course he's a integral part of this solo team, so that's excellent. You already have him. You have a 7-star Thrawn with Zeta, so that's amazing. You've already got him, and you even have BB-8 with a Zeta, and you've got him. So you've got 4 out of the 5 parts to get a team that can very easily do 30 to 50 million, or 48 million on the heroic raid. But you're missing one piece, and that is, and when I looked, I could figure it out because I noticed you had Hermit Yoda, and Hermit Yoda means that you're going for this little guy versus going for the Wampa. And I know you're probably not going to like me saying this, but I would actually pause your farm on Hermit Yoda because we wanted to know your readiness. And I would have the fewest amount of teams available for Heroic AAT. It just makes things way easier. And so that would mean giving up on Hermit Yoda for a short period of time, pause him, and start going all the way in on Wampa, start getting his shards and try and get him up to 7 stars. And I know it's going to take some time, but I really believe for the Heroic AAT, all you need is Wampa on that team, and boom, you're going to have 25 to 45 million damage, and you'll be able to have one single team to focus on. Plus the Wampa's phenomenal in every area of the game, including Arena right now. He's a phenomenal plug-and-play character for Arena. So if it was me and my account, I would actually pause Hermit Yoda. In fact, that's exactly what I did on my account. I had a 5-star Gear 9 Hermit Yoda when Wampa came out. I literally paused Hermit Yoda for Wampa and went immediately over to Wampa and geared him all the way up to 7 stars, Gear 12, and then I went back to Hermit Yoda. And I don't regret that whatsoever. I really used my Wampa way more than I used my Hermit Yoda. Both are great characters, but you have all the pieces for the Darth Vader-led Heroic AA team. Now, as far as the Heroic Sith raid, you kind of want to know about, are you ready? And really, when you kind of look through your teams, you're really not ready yet for the Heroic Sith raid. There's 4 phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can put any team into phase 2. So phase 2, you could use any team. So you're ready for phase 2. You could do damage with your entire lineup in phase 2. But for phase 1, the best team really is either going to be Jedi or Jedi training raid teams, and everybody knows the Jedi training raid teams, and you don't have her yet, so you need to get the vets. The veterans, smugglers are the guys that are kind of holding you up from getting her. And so definitely going to have to continue to farm. You're close, though. You're at 6 stars, so keep getting him up. And obviously, you need 2 more stars for Han Solo and get these guys up. But really, those are the last 2 pieces of the puzzle. So this is your #1 priority. Now, I know JTR just came back not too long ago, and you're going, man, it's going to be another 6 months. It's not. The first couple of times those legendary events come out, it's like 6 months in between. But then they shorten it up to about every other month to every 3rd month or so. So you should have another whack at JTR coming up within the next couple of months, and it's going to take you some time to get the 7th star on Chewie and the 6th and 7th star on Han. So this should be your hyper focus right now over everything other than, Biggs and the Phantom 2 as far as ships go and their crew members. As far as regular characters, these guys should be your #1 and #2 highest focus. And so these guys will help you get JTR. JTR will help you build the best phase 1 team. Again, phase 2, you can use anyone. For phase 3, a team that most people use is Commander Luke, Han Solo. You already have those 2. But then they use Chirrut, Pow, and Death Trooper. And those 3 are not, you don't even have Chirrut or Pow. So you're going to have to not only get those characters, but farm them all the way to 7 stars. This is really one of the best teams for phase 3 to get the most bang for your buck. You can get 1 to 2 million pretty easily. I know the RNG is kind of a crapshoot, but it's really one of those teams that is a go-to. So you don't need Chirrut and Pow more than about Gear 9 on this team. They serve a particular purpose, and that's about it. So Gear 9, 7 star, Gear 8, 7 star, but you've got to get them to 7 star, and you don't even have them. So those are 2 characters I would put in your must farm for bag of tricks. Kind of just like I said, go all in on Wampa and go in on those veteran smugglers. These are 2 guys you want to go focus all in on, Chirrut and Pow. But you also need Death Trooper. And when we look at your Death Trooper, you see he's, Gear 8 at 4 stars. And so you've got a lot of work with Death Trooper as well. Now, Death Trooper is going to help you in ships, and he's one of those ships I told you to continue to develop. So you're not going to waste any gear. You're not going to waste any time. He's a Cantina farm. Now, that's the issue, right? You've got this guy in Cantina and the veterans in Cantina, and what do you focus on? And that's going to come down to which one do you feel like is a bigger priority? Personally, for me, the Jedi training raid team is a heavier damage dealing team, 3 to 5,000, or 3 to 5 million damage, and you need her to do all of that. So for me, I would lean in on the phase 1 team more and get that one ready first, which would mean your Cantina energy would go towards the veteran smugglers. Then, after that's done, I would move to the phase 3 team where I focused on getting Death Trooper. And then in the meantime, you could also farm Chirrut and Pow out of their subsequent stores and nodes. And that way you can get, because Chirrut's in the stores, you could get him farmed up slowly over time. But those 3 characters I would get. And then for the last team for phase 4, everybody knows or should know that the Night Sisters are unequivocally the best team for that. And there's a lot of development here that needs to happen, but I would focus on the Night Sisters for sure first with the 2 veterans, because you can kind of do that simultaneously. None of these characters do you have to get out of Cantina that have to compete right now. You can focus on a lot of these characters off a hard node or off of a store, or you could just focus on gearing them in the meantime. You're definitely going to want to focus on those top 5, Asajj Ventress, Daka, Zombie, Talzin, and Talia. You really need them 7 stars, and then you want to just try and get their gear up as high as possible. For, a Dolphin, you probably want to focus on about gear 9 for now, getting up to gear 9 and then moving to another character. And Zombie, you just leave Zombie at the gear 7 that you have her at. She's fine at gear 7. Just continue to focus on getting the stars. But Night Sisters do the most damage, and you're closer to the Night Sisters teams being completely done than the JTR team, because you still need 2 characters at 7 stars, and then you have to get JTR, and then you got to farm or get her all of her gear and max her out and put some Zetas on her, and you got to get her other buddies leveled up and stuff. So it's just, there's going to be a lot of development over time that happens over the next 3 to 6 months with the phase 1 team, and in the meantime you're going to be kind of working on phase 3 characters a little bit as well. So phase 4 Night Sisters is something you could focus on today and start really working on, and this team once maxed out does, depends on your gear level, but 1 million all the way up to about 8 million, depending on Zetas and mods and your gear levels. So definitely make this a high priority. So number 1, your vets, get them out of the cantinas, max them out so you're ready for JTR when she comes back so you're not surprised. And 2, work on your Night Sisters. They're one of the best, if not the best teams for dark side territory battles. They're great for territory wars, offense and defense, and they're going to be great for phase 4 at the very beginning of phase 4. They're going to give you a lot of damage capability there. So TK421, you're doing really well. Regular arena, I just highly recommend you have a tank like General Kenobi and then Thrawn for some control. Or you could, on offense, like I said, put Ezra in for additional damage instead of General Kenobi. And then on your fleet, you just really need to work on Biggs in the front lineup and then Phantom 2 in your backup. Those are the best 2 ships in the game, in my opinion, for the lineup that you're kind of running. And I think it's going to give you a lot more durability. Arena, though, otherwise looks pretty good. I know it all comes down to like mods and gear and all that kind of stuff, so you just got to do your best. And lastly, for readiness, you asked about readiness. Rancor, you got that in the bag. For heroic AAT, you're 1 Wampa away from having a team that can do 25 to 48 million damage for you, and that's great. You're going to be able to place high, and there's decent gear in there to help with all your characters getting from gear 9 to 10 to 11. There's a lot of good gear in there for that little stretch that's difficult to farm, which is gear 9 through 11. So don't underestimate that heroic AAT team and the Wampa. He's really important to help you get those high-end raid gear pieces. And then for Sith raid, you're not ready yet, except for phase 2. You could throw in some characters for phase 2. Phase 1, you really want to work on JTR team, so you need the vets. So number 1 priority is vets, get them out of Cantina. And then number 2 is Night Sisters. Start working on them both in the stars and gear for phase 4. And then eventually on your phase 3 team, you're going to want to get Chirrut and Pow 7 stars and Death Trooper finished off to 7 as well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. If you guys are watching, have any ideas for TK421, make sure you leave them in the comments down below. And as always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.